Hello and welcome to Scrimmij, the only show on the internet that is so Hispanic, that Hispanic, Puerto Rico, Latino, blah, 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 blah. So, Willie Colon is a pretty big artist when it comes to salsa music specifically. He laid down a lot of the building blocks when it came to salsa music, and he made ones that are like still here today. Like, I still have heard what? Todo tiene su final. I heard that like at a function. I think it might have been one of my family functions, if I recall correctly. They made me cut down the floof. I look. Yeah. Well, Haley said she liked it. My girlfriend said she liked it, so it has to be okay at least. Yeah. And furthermore, he is the person who got Hector Lavoe through the door, which meant that because of him, we got El Cantante, we got the whole Comedia album, we got a ton of amazing stuff. I believe they had a collaborative Christmas album that my family still plays on the TV. It's that and that one like freaking Boricua Spanish song, freaking medley Navideno. That one goes platinum. When it is like November and we're setting up the Christmas tree, that junk goes platinum in our place. But nevertheless, what I'm saying all this to say is that he's really a godfather of salsa music and a lot of Boricua music. So it obviously hurts when he unfortunately passed. And he passed where he lived in New York, and he was surrounded by family and all of that. This happens back in February, right? And I'm obviously down about it a little bit. Like, I hadn't really been too deep into his music. I still had to sort of more or less put names to a face because I've always heard his music, but I never knew which exactly was him and, which was this, and that. They're all kind of just music I can mildly understand, but really can't. Like, I know a lot of Spanish, but I don't know, the whole king caboodle. I don't know everything. Then people opened up his Instagram and saw months on months on months on months on months of stupidity. I am not fluent in Spanish, meaning that I couldn't really get to fully understand each and every one of these posts. But I can at least go off of headlines, conversate about said headlines, and move from there. Let's talk about it. Willie Colon had been reposting a high amount of right-wing politics content. And a lot of you might be saying, oh, that's just his opinion. That's just his... We gotta stop that conversation. We really do. We really need to stop the talking point of, oh, it's just your opinion. I don't think being a Republican has just been your opinion since like Mitt Romney was. After that, it was just, hi, I am here because I deeply hate all of these communities. I don't want equity for a lot of people. I want, this guy to come in and do nut shit. Like, sure, you're rich, you're a celebrity, you don't really have to be with us. In a sense, you don't have to worry about ICE catching you. But in general, even if you are one of the rich elite that benefit from MAGA, you still won't win, really. Because at the end of the day, you're still Hispanic. They're still going to come for you. When they get bored of trans people, they go to who? Hispanics. When they're bored of Hispanics, they go back to oppressing black people. What's the point? What's the point? Like I'm being completely serious when I say this. It doesn't make sense to me that Willie Colon, of all people, a Hispanic man, is rocking with these types of talking points. But you know what? I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself. I feel like I'm talking a little bit too much before the points. Let's just get into them. Number one, he was pro-ICE. That is right. The one and the only Willie Colon, a Puerto Rican man raised in New York, was pro-ICE. How does this happen? Like, genuinely, how does that work to you? Because the thing about ICE is they are going after damn near anyone who isn't white. Let's start there. You know, it doesn't matter if you're like Boricua, like me. You know, oh, like I'm technically an American citizen because y'all took me and took my country and turned it into a territory. It don't matter. They're still gonna pick you off the street. They don't care. They just want to put us all away. It don't matter if we get out or whatever. They just want to. They just gotta catch them. They just gotta catch us all like we're fucking Pokemon. So, if in the real world you still won't be above it, and furthermore, in the real world, if ICE is, you know, taking away immigrants, and especially undocumented ones, and sending them back to where they're from, that would literally stop you from existing. You're a child of immigrants. No? If you're not, then your parents were. And if they're not, then their parents were. And so on and so forth. At some point, if you support ICE, then that means you support most of your lineage being gone, and possibly that meaning that you don't exist. It doesn't make sense to me. But don't worry, I solemnly swear it will get stupider. Number 2, he was against the Bad Bunny show and pro the Turning Point USA show. Mr. Colon, Charlie Kirk literally spent a considerable amount of his adult life waking up, going to public places, and spewing hate speech, hiding it behind debate. But when you're debating about who gets rights, when you're debating on who deserves housing, when you're debating on, you know, if police brutality is real, it's not free speech. It's hate speech. Charlie Kirk was not a bastion of free speech. He was an evil, sick, sad man who kept on spewing hate speech on a public sphere. I'm not saying that his, you know, murder was right. But what I am saying is, if he just sat his ass at home and played Stardew Valley, shit wouldn't happen. Charlie Kirk lived and died being a racist, being a transphobe, being a homophobe, being everything under the sun. Why in the world are you supporting his company? They don't want you here. They want ICE going up and down every single street daily. They don't want you here. They don't want you safe. They want you back where you're from. Even if you're literally from here. But also, not to mention, like, so many, like, old heads in PR, both musical and regular old heads, just hate on Bad Bunny for no reason. Even nowadays, it gives you a whole album of friggin' pseudo freedom fighter, a lot of traditional, like, freaking bomba, salsa, and bachata type music, alongside, like, still the reggaeton stuff, and then y'all still hate on him. Don't know what's up with that, but obviously, bigger fish to fry, so, yeah.
Okay, I kind of got really deep into that very decent monologue about Charlie Kirk, and I completely phoned in the entire part about Bad Bunny. Willie Colon would repost something from @conservative_Barbie, which is now #1 on the worst TikTok to follow in the Big Benty say. Who the hell would want to follow that? Anyways, he would repost a TikTok from that girl saying how, oh, now it's a political now it's a political protest, and oh, Bad Bunny didn't want to perform in America because ICE could be there. Oh, does the NFL even know their audience? It's like, we just want God, country, and football. We don't want woke politics and open borders. You know, bull crap, just bull crap, straight up bull crap. Furthermore, he would end up actually reposting something that would start comparing the statistics of the Turning Point America show and the Bad Bunny show. So that's the reason why Bad Bunny and Turning Point were put in the same bubble here. On to the next point.
Number 3, he was completely cool with Trump blocking 75 high-risk countries from getting visas because they're likely to misuse welfare. This is very similar to point two. If you aren't allowing immigrants in here, then what does that mean for your family who are immigrants and the ones that made your life? It just doesn't add up to me. I know you, Willie Colon. I don't know you, but I know you've had racist moments in your life where people have targeted you simply for being Hispanic. So now, why in the world would you say, let me be like that, go to the tip top of the mountain, look down on everybody else, and say, hey, none of y'all deserve visas. I rock with that. None of y'all deserve to be in this country legally, help us build infrastructure. None of it. None of it. All y'all can go to hell. What do we gain from that? As Hispanic people, what do we gain from that? As a Hispanic man, what would you gain from that? Nothing. Number 4. This one is going to be really stupid, so let me just give you a bit of context. Willie Colon made a song called El Gran Varón. So what happens is, there's someone named Simon. Simon's father sees them as his pride and joy. Simon dips to go study abroad. Simon's father pays her a visit, finds out that, she's wearing women's clothes and doesn't look familiar to the Simon that he knows, whoever that may be. Simon's father flatly rejects her completely when Simone reveals herself. Simone is completely comfortable in her identity, but is of course hurt. Simone's father, slowly but surely, learns to love his daughter, and he realizes my daughter hasn't called me in a while. His daughter has passed of AIDS. It's a deeply, deeply saddening sort of commentary, but is also, of course, one of those songs that Instagram plays for like, ha ha ha, look at those crazy Hispanics dancing to sad ass music. It is. That is one of the main exports of that sort of thing, of dancey dance salsa music with sad messages. And this song was, in a sense, one of our main responses to the AIDS crisis. It was one of our main LGBTQ songs of solidarity. This song is a very important historical note because of that. And then he is reposting stuff on Instagram that is transphobic. And that is just the thing that made me completely lose my marbles. I have had a ton of trans homies. I try my hardest to have solidarity with the LGBTQ community. Their struggle is Hispanic struggle, is Black struggle, is Palestinian struggle. We all struggling. I myself am pan. Like, it was a lot to see the man who made like this freaking AIDS crisis response, one of the main ones for Hispanic people, and we just kept on dancing to it. So it always stays in rotation, it always stays in our head, and is kind of, to an extent, like a way to not be transphobic, kind of, eventually, with the end message of Simone's father slowly like learning to love his daughter, but then eventually, the whole like ending, and it's like, hey, love your people while they're here the way they are. Like, it's a good message and it's a good song. And then you're on Instagram reposting transphobia, and I just lose my cranium, because what the hell are you on about? Seriously, it doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't add up. I can't seem to understand this. And actually, you know what? Spinning back to that point, I hate that Willie Colon, a Latino man, was dissing other communities. It reminds me of Dave Chappelle going on those specials and making all of those transphobic jokes. There's no good that comes out of that. Sure, you might get laughs from losers and like idiots, but that ruins solidarity with a whole nother marginalized group of people, which means less of a chance for both of y'all to come together and have solidarity for one another when junk hits the fan. It's actively breaking us down. If this Willie Colon Instagram stuff really was out here popping and got like a lot more news coverage, we could have been in hot water. We could have been in hot water with like trans people. We could have been in hot water with ourselves, because I don't know. I don't like, and that's the thing. Not only will we be in hot water with all these other marginalized groups that are being bullied and made like and like hurt, but also we gonna be at war with ourselves, because there's gonna be some old heads who agree with this like idiots. Because again, what's my bar from Que Lindo? Half of us voted to kick off the streets. There was a statistic running around during the time of that album's release that 60% of Latino men voted for Trump. So it's gonna be a war between the idiots of us and those who are actually informed of us going against each other, and that's no good. Internal fighting, internal animosity towards each other, that just breaks us down. So thanks, Willie. You're a great guy. Jesus Christ, I can't stand you. It's idiotic. Willie Colon's behavior on the internet was completely idiotic, and in my opinion, completely ruins his history. It doesn't matter if you made Aguanilé in your like 20s or 30s or whenever. If during your final years, all you could do for us in some of our worst times was shut up and play on their team. The team that wanted us dead. The team that wanted us out of here. The team that didn't want any of our fellow people of color to succeed. You don't make sense, Willie Colon. You are a walking and talking farce. What's wrong with you? And I don't want to say all this mean stuff after he's passed. I understand that he's an icon of our people. I understand that. He made amazing art. But so did Kanye. And he's forever going to be a Nazi. Because there's some things you really can't apologize for. That's another thing. I need to do a video on apologies. Because that whole Amazing Digital Circus thing with half of the damn cast saying, like, basically laughing at, oh, look at me, I'm almost saying the N-word. Like, I gotta get that. I gotta get to that. I do. But like stuff like this, you can't apologize for. Stuff where you are targeting entire communities, you can't apologize for. Stuff where you are supporting the party that literally wants several people like deported, wants trans people dead, wants all these things, that's something you can't apologize for. In general, to the estates of Willie Colon, I understand what his music meant to us. I do. I am sorry for your loss. However, we have to sit with the uncomfortable truth and understand that Willie Colon didn't like us when he was passing. Willie Colon didn't like us. If you're a person of color, Willie Colon probably didn't want you here. Willie Colon spent the last years of his life actively peddling and supporting racism, xenophobia, and hate speech. But at the same time, when I look at Willie Colon, I don't even want to believe this. I want to believe that he fell for that cycle. You keep scrolling Instagram reels, you start liking certain things, and the pipeline just gets to you. So with this video, I sort of really only have one main talking point, and that is check up on your elders. Check up on what they're supporting, check up on what they are saying and meaning to say, and what the internet is telling them, because a lot of AI is around, a lot of fake news is around, but most importantly, those who want hatred to win, those who want racism to win, those who want bigotry to win, all these things, those who want that to win are preying on those who are unintelligent. That's what they're preying on. They're preying on those. I keep on looking at the screen, not the camera. They're preying on those who are unintelligent and those who don't know any better and those who aren't cognizant of what they're doing. I think that's going to be about it for this episode of Scrimmij. I really hope that you all enjoyed. I really hope that I was able to really get my point across. Again, I wasn't able to really watch these videos in full because, most of them are in like very. I wasn't able to really watch these videos in full because most of them were fully in Spanish, and I'm not really that fluent of a speaker. However, I just tried my hardest to go off the headlines, explain why I believe that they are wrong or an oxymoron for a Hispanic man to go with. And that's all I can say. I'm grateful for, the music he's given us and for the groundwork he's laid. But unfortunately, he's still a bigot. He still supports the fascism going on, and he has to be held accountable. So if anyone has to, I will. Thanks for watching. That's going to be it.